Losing a pet is, well, it's rough, really rough.
Yeah.
I mean, their family. It's not like losing, just a pet, saying goodbye to a member of the family. It's just, it's never easy.
No.
So in this deep dive, we're going to look at ways to honor your furry friend's memory. And we're going to be looking at this blog post, Paw Prints on Our Hearts, a guide to honoring your pet's memory. And hopefully this will give you some ideas for anyone who's going through it on how to keep their memory alive.
Yeah, it's a very particular kind of grief, I think.
Right.
And this blog post, I think, does a really good job of kind of outlining all the different approaches, to kind of navigating that, and it runs the gamut from, creating physical memorials to channeling your grief into something more positive. What I really liked about it, what resonated most with me, was its emphasis on celebrating their life.
Yeah.
Rather than dwelling on the passing.
Okay. And so let's kind of unpack that a little bit. I mean, they talk about physical memorials, but they're really emphasizing that it's so much more than that, right?
It is. It is. They're talking about, those small, really meaningful rituals and routines that you do to help maintain that sense of connection. And I really do think it's like keeping their spirit alive. I've seen that with my own clients, For example, I had a client who, for the longest time after their dog had passed, they would continue that daily walk on their dog's favorite route.
Yeah.
And it was their way of kind of, honoring that bond and just finding solace in the familiar.
That's really, it's like carrying a piece of them with you.
Exactly.
Through those everyday actions. Speaking of celebrating their life, one of the things they talk about is having some sort of a gathering or even like a digital tribute.
Right.
I mean, and that totally makes sense, especially now,
Yeah.
where you can use those platforms to keep their memory alive.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
I've seen some really incredibly moving video tributes online.
Right.
People sharing stories and pictures and, even those hilarious candid moments that they've caught on camera.
Right.
And it becomes like this, this really beautiful tapestry of their pet's life, that's shared not only with for themselves, but for the world.
Yeah.
And it brings comfort, I think, not only to the owner, but to countless others who might be, experiencing something similar.
I remember there was this video, it was a while back, but I remember seeing this video. It was like a montage, this really cute dog, and they had this music. And I just remember the comments. It was like it went viral. And the comments were just like people sharing their stories and how it was bringing them peace.
Yeah.
And it really struck me how, something as simple as that could just, this ripple effect of comfort and connection. And, it's not just videos, right? There are other things, there are other ways to sort of honor their memory.
Right.
By taking action.
Yeah, and they talk about that in the blog post too.
Right.
This idea of turning your grief into action.
Right.
And it's really, I think it can be incredibly therapeutic to help other animals in need.
Yeah. You know what? I admit that's not the first thing I would think of. But it sounds like there's actually research to back that up.
There's been studies that have shown that, grieving pet owners who volunteer at animal shelters actually show, reduced stress levels, more positive mood overall.
Wow.
It's like their love for their pet kind of transforms into this, this ripple effect of compassion.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
It really is. The healing power of giving back, right? So we've talked about the physical memorials, those little daily rituals celebrating their life, and now even this idea of action.
Right.
What other kind of gems does this blog post hold for us?
Well, it talks about, and I think this is so important and often overlooked, finding those healthy, creative outlets.
Yes.
To process your grief.
I love that part of it because it talks about writing or music or art or even journaling.
All these things that can be so therapeutic.
It's true. And sometimes, just this simple act of putting pen to paper or, brush to canvas, whatever it is for you, can really unlock these emotions that you maybe didn't even realize were there.
Right.
And it can be incredibly cathartic.
There was this, I think it was a quote in the blog. I'm trying to remember exactly how it went, but it was something like, though your paws no longer walk beside me, your spirit runs forever free. And in the quiet of my heart, you'll always be with me. Something like that.
That's beautiful.
It's beautiful. And it really captures it.
It does.
That bond.
Yeah.
And, as much as finding those creative outlets is so personal, they also talk about connecting with others.
Talking to friends and family.
Absolutely.
Even joining a support group.
Yes.
If that feels right.
Because at the end of the day, you're not alone in this.
Right, exactly.
Grief can be so isolating, and just knowing that others understand what you're going through, that they've, walked a similar path, can make a world of difference.
Yeah.
And they might have some helpful insights or coping mechanisms that maybe you haven't even considered.
Right.
So it's about, really building that support system during a difficult time.
It really is. It's a journey.
It is.
Honoring your pet's memory. It's not a thing you get over.
Yeah. And like any journey, there are there are ups and downs. There are twists and turns. Some days are harder than others, and that's okay.
Yeah.
Grief doesn't follow a straight line.
Right. There's no right or wrong way.
Exactly.
And I think, like they said in the blog, what resonates for one person may not for another.
Right.
The important thing is that you find what brings you comfort and helps you keep those memories alive.
Absolutely. For some people, it's creating that beautiful memorial in their garden. For others, it's as simple as, picking up their pet's favorite toy and giving it a little squeeze, or just, looking through photos and reminiscing about those happy times.
It's finding those touchstones, right?
Yes.
Those reminders of their presence.
Yes. And remember, you don't have to go through this alone. Lean on your support system, talk to others who understand, and just allow yourself to heal at your own pace.
Beautifully said. Well, to anyone listening out there who might be going through this, navigating the loss of a pet, just remember, your feelings are valid.
Yes.
There's no timetable for this.
No.
And honoring their memory is personal.
It is.
And hopefully, this deep dive has given you some ideas on how to keep those paw prints close to your heart.
I hope so.
If there was one thing you could do today to feel a little closer to your pet's memory, what would it be?